Now, today I wanted to talk about the holiday stress and how what we can do to do it different, how we can come into a different awareness of what all is going on and why we're under so much stress and how we can stop it. And a lot of it is going to, of course, involve the tools that I've been sharing with you over the past few months and showing you how to connect the dots with it. We've got so many expectations, so much on our shoulders or on our plate, so to speak, that we just kind of meet ourselves coming back sometimes. But I want to remind you to stop, take a deep breath, count to 10 before you take your next step. And look at some things that are going on in your world. Where is your stress coming from? What is it about? And when you start asking those questions, I think what you're going to find is that it comes from what our conditioning and programming of our past traditions of what we think the holidays are supposed to be, how we have always celebrated them in the past, regardless of what was going on. And it's really with the new changes, with us moving out of the third dimensional old ways, this is a wonderful time to start your own new traditions for the new world with the new energy and the new vibrations. And one of the things I want to talk about first is expectancy versus expectations. And just so that we're all on the same page, expectancy is defined as knowing that something will happen. Expectations is getting caught up in how it's supposed to happen. And in a lot of ways, that's kind of a mirror image of your job is what and God's job is how. As long as we're in expectancy, as long as that we hold the vibration, the intent that we are going to have a beautiful, wonderful, peaceful holiday, and we keep affirming that intent and doing everything that we can to create that, then that's the energy that we're going to draw into our life and that we're going to vibrate with, and we're going to expect it or experience it. It's real important to really be clear within yourself as to what it is that you're wanting to accomplish over this holiday season. Is it the conditioning and programming? Is it being in your heart? Is it doing things because you think you're supposed to rather than because it's what you really want to do? Whose responsibility are you taking? And I think it's real important to take a very good look at this right now and find out what you want for your life. Of course, you have to do it taking into consideration how other people are going to be affected by it. But you cannot think their thoughts or feel their feelings, so you can't take responsibility how they're going to react to it. And be kind, but still do what is to your highest and greatest good. Be in your heart. Look at what is motivating you to do the things you're doing. And if it's something that you really, really want to do, then go at it with gusto. And yet if you are angry and frustrated and fearful and just sad and upset about the holidays or anything that is connected to them, then it's really your red flag to look and see, okay, what's really going on? Who am I giving my power to, and who am I trying to believe? It's really, really important to look at how you're trying to get your needs met through taking responsibility and for other people and for the expectations of how they're going to react and respond to what it is that you're doing. The thing about getting caught up in expectations is that we get all sucked into the if, shoulds, coulds, and woulds, and we literally begin manifesting our physical reality based on the if or the possibility that we think would happen rather than staying in the moment of what actually is happening. The think a thing makes it so. If we get caught up in the ifs, and let's do it in a positive way. If you hold the belief that if you buy certain gifts for certain people and you fulfill all of your commitments and you make all your parties and you do all of these things that everybody else wants you to do, then you're going to have a joyful and peaceful holiday. Okay? So take a deep breath and remember that you've done that every year in the past and it has never manifested to your expectations of what it's supposed to be. And that throws us into the false beliefs, our core beliefs. Well, if only he, she, it, or they would change, I'd be okay. Well, what you're doing is based on you wanting to have your own way, because if you have your own way, you know that you're going to feel good and have peace and joy and happy. So everything you're doing is striving to have your own way, based on the to think a thing makes it so from the if, shoulds, coulds, and woulds. You get so tangled up trying to control what cannot be controlled. And then you end up unhappy, miserable, and sick. And if that's been a pattern of your holiday season throughout your life, then give yourself permission to do it different. Give yourself permission to create your own holiday traditions, to do what you want to do, what makes your heart happy, what feeds your soul, and what is ultimately to the highest good of all. You know, think about how many times that somebody's had the courage to speak their truth, and then all of a sudden, when they spoke their truth, everybody else chimed in and said, yeah, that's the way I feel too. But nobody would ever say anything until that one person stood up and said, hey, this is not working for me. And when everybody talks about it and brings it out instead of just assumes that this is the way it's supposed to be, you can change a lot. You can completely revise what the holidays mean and how you experience them. And in a lot of ways, when we are getting all sucked into this, in our head we know what we're saying is true, and in our heart we know what we're saying is true, but yet the two aren't married. And if the two aren't married, if they're not in harmony, if they're not in sync, then there's still going to be a miss. The head and heart have to be in harmony, have to be resonating together. And that's all you have to do, is become consciously aware of what heart is feeling versus what head is feeling, and then harmonize them. Change the belief. I would go for the head belief to be changed before the heart belief to be changed, because our truth is in our hearts, not our heads. So look at that for a minute. And another little piece of food for thought that I would like to remind you of is that the powers that be, energy is a food source for them. And the holiday season, with all of the conditioning and programming, the ads, the negativity crammed down our throats constantly, the things that we should and shouldn't do, and we're good if we do it, and bad if we don't, and blah, blah, blah. Look at how manipulated and controlled we are. How can that not create conflict? How can that not create struggle, strife, and eventually pain, whether it's emotional pain or physical pain? Going out and shopping is not the easiest job in the world. And yet we constantly put ourselves in those positions because we believe that's what we're expected to do. So holiday stress is literally a food source for the powers that be, because as long as they can keep creating the fear, the struggle, the strife, the conflict, the resistance, the pain in humanity, they are having a absolutely marvelous feast. You know, they can literally stock up for half the year just on the holiday season alone. So think about it. If you are under stress, then you need to stop and take a deep breath and look at what it is that is creating that stress in your life. Remember, when you defend, blame, explain, justify, or rationalize your thoughts, feelings, and actions, you are trying to get your needs met outside of yourself. You are the only one who can meet your needs because you're the only one who knows what they really are. All we can ever do is share our feelings and our thoughts with another person. There's nothing to be fixed. There's nothing to be debated. There's just empathy to be experienced from sharing another person's journey, no matter how short that journey, that sharing was, at what you are attempting to create. And are you doing so? Are you creating all the love and the joy and the happiness that you want to experience? Or are you just mindlessly getting sucked into the rat race, to the struggle, to the conflict of living up to somebody else's expectations of who we think we should be or what we think we should do? And that somebody else is an authority, which is it a person, place, thing, or situation you give your power away to. And when we give our power away to old traditions, even though they don't work in our lifestyle anymore, then it's time for us to look within and change it. This is not the 50s, nor the 60s, nor the 70s, 80s, or 90s. This is a whole different world that we're living in. Not just our physical reality, but our consciousness has shifted so much collectively because of humanity's evolution that nothing really is what it used to be. The old ways are not working. And we cannot continue to pretend that everything is status quo and just fine. Things are not what they appear to be. And the more aware of that you become, the more prepared you are going to be for when the truth is revealed. And that's really what it's all about. Time that you experience that struggle, strife, conflict, resistance, pain, you're functioning under a false belief. And you're living in the past or in the future. So pay attention. Pay attention to what you're feeling. Pay attention to the reasons that you're doing what you're doing. And it doesn't matter what that is, as long as you are consciously aware of the choices that you're making, then you're good. A false belief is only false because it's made without awareness. That is the key. The core beliefs are only become false whenever you give your power away to them, when you allow them to control you. These are tools to help you know what your higher self is trying to communicate with you. What are you feeling? What are the experiences in your body that you're having? Be honest with yourself. Pay attention. Don't dismiss it as, this is just the way it is. Less than. Just because that's the way it has always been, quote unquote. Make a different choice. Shift the crystal. Choose to experience your life your way. And when you share that with those that you share your life with, you may be surprised to find out how much in resonance you actually are. And I'm not saying that traditions are not important. I believe that they are. I believe that they are in a lot of ways, a living story of our history. But just as anything, it has to grow, it has to change, it has to evolve. It's been doing that. Our history is doing that. And when we hold on to things that are of the old way and not allowing this new energy to come in and allowing ourselves to see what that feels like, then it's like putting an anchor on our energetic flow. There is no good or bad or right or wrong. It just is. And if you want to have Chinese food for Christmas dinner, then go for it. If you want to have the traditional, then go for that. Conscious choice you are making because it makes your heart happy, not because it's what's always been done. Alrighty. I would certainly love to hear from you. The number is 773-897-6227. That's 773-897-6227. Give me a call. Let's talk about some good stuff here. So remember, to change any situation in your life, you've got to change your attitude toward it. I call it shifting the crystal. It doesn't matter what you call it. It just matters that you do it. And no matter what you're seeing or feeling in your life that is making you unhappy, miserable, and sick, ask your higher self. Ask the question, is there another way I can perceive this experience that is under grace and in perfect ways, that shows me what I need to see from this, that reveals to me the lessons that I have chosen to learn. Remember, our conditioning and programming focuses on the experience, the situation, and the circumstances. In other words, the book of the situation. And as long as we focus on the book, we're not going to be getting what the book is teaching us. We're not going to be open to seeing that there is any other way to see it. And that's all shifting the crystal is just looking at something from a different perspective. You can always, always, always go back to your original perspective if that's what you choose to do. But how much of a choice do you really have when you haven't allowed yourself to have a choice? When you've just accepted that one perception is the only way that you can see it. You cannot get past where you are until you see where you are. And the only way you can do that is to accept and allow what is instead of focusing on what you want it to be. Because until you see and acknowledge and allow it to be what it is first, there's nothing that can be changed. Because it's not going anywhere until you acknowledge, allow, and accept that that's there. You know, it's just like, for example, a headache is an invalidation of self. So when you start getting a headache, one of the first things you want to do is just acknowledge, well, in some way I must have invalidated myself. Just that statement alone can make the headache go away because all your body hurt. The only reason your body is hurting is to get your attention, to listen to what your higher self is telling you. And when you make that statement, when you acknowledge what you know to be going on that level, the physical corresponds. Because remember, universe is on our side. Creator wants us to get it. Every time one person has an aha moment, raises their vibration, it raises all of humanity. Every one of us is that important. We're like, each one of us is like a piece to this big, huge, giant puzzle. And if one piece is missing, the puzzle is incomplete. Every bit of what we individually bring into this life, world, and experience is absolutely unique and rare and precious. There is no one else who can do what we are doing. To try and be something else or to be what someone else wants you to be in thought, feeling, or action is absolutely against your highest ideal. It's against the truth of who you are. And the reason that there is no good or bad or right or wrong is that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. We're here to explore, to learn, to grow, to evolve, to ascend. And we can only do that through the wisdom of our experiences. How do we get wisdom? Through the experiences and how we understand what they mean to us. Every person is going to experience same situation differently. Nobody can look at anything from our perspective because no one has ever walked a mile in our shoes, lived the lives we've lived, laughed at the things we laugh at, cried at the things we cry at. There is no other being on anywhere that is like you. Your perspective, your understanding, your knowledge and awareness. And the gift of how you manifest that is extremely and uniquely yours. And this is one of those situations where I believe the head and heart are not married. We know this to be true. We know this in our heart. We know the truth of the words even in our head. But yet there's some kind of a disconnect. Why isn't it manifesting? Where is that disconnect? Because in the head, you're having to deal with the conditioning and programming, with ego still trying to keep us safe, still in ego's mind, having our back saying, okay, I'm going to keep you safe. You can't do this. You can't change that because then everybody will be mad. And if everybody's mad, then you're not safe. It is a cycle of a habit and the habit of a cycle that we get caught up in. And the only way to get out of it is through the awareness. The minute that you have a thought, you have the ability, literally, the chemistry within your body is created to carry it out. And it just depends on where those thoughts are. You know, which wolf are you feeding? Whatever you want, you can have it. And you know that in your head, you know that in your heart. But what gets in the way is that first you've got to decide that you really want it, give yourself permission to have it, and be willing to learn from it and to accept it. And see, that's where we get caught up in the conditioning and programming. We say, okay, I want this, but we don't believe we're worthy of it. I can't have this. I've been told all my life I'm not good enough. In some way, shape, or form, whether that's money, status, skin color, race, whatever it is, we've been told all of our lives in some way, shape, or form that we're not worthy, that we don't deserve it. And again, head and heart. In our hearts, we know we do. In our head, we're dealing with the conflict of that conditioning and programming. Well, what if they are right? I know I'm a good person, but what if they're right? Okay. And what if they're wrong? And what if they're not? If you play the if game, you have to play both sides of it. Most of the time, we only focus on the negative side. Well, if this happens, then I can do this, and then that happens, and then da 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 da, and then that, and then, and we just constantly creating this scenario in our minds, and it usually ends up with us not getting what we want for some reason or another. We self-sabotage constantly, and we have no clue that we're doing it. Conscious awareness simply means that you are aware of what you're saying, thinking, doing, and feeling. Because it is through that awareness that you change your life. When you change a thought, you change all of the energy that you're drawing to you. Because when it resonated, whenever you had a negative thought, you draw negative energy to you. Validations and confirmations of that negativity. And yet when we focus on the positive, the same thing happens. We forget that whatever issue or idea or experience that we are going over and over in our minds, it's a two-sided coin. simply because we live in the duality. And we are still having the residual memory of the 3D. So when you have to play the if game, you play it both sides. If this is the worst thing that could happen on the negative, then you have to go, then this is the worst thing that can happen or the best thing that can happen on the positive. And then you get to choose which side you want to feed, which one you want to lend your energy to, which one you want to go, which area you want to play in. And the glitch in that is that we're taught to play in that we're not good enough to play in the positive area because we haven't earned it. We're not worthy. We're not good enough. We're not special. That is such a load. It is so, so untrue. We are here in this moment in time because we are worthy, because we are of value, because we are unique and rare and precious. And each one of us holds an energy, a gift, a knowing, a piece of this puzzle that is absolutely vital that we participate to ensure the evolution of all humanity. Playing small. Stop being less than. Stop getting caught up in the negativity of what you're not. And if you have to get caught up in something, get caught up in the joy of who you actually are. But those experiences are very unfamiliar and, in a sense, uncomfortable. Because in the past, when we have been in that space, we knew it wouldn't last. Pretty soon this will go away and it'll go back to the same old BS. Well, of course, because your thinking went back to the same old. You didn't stay in the higher vibration. You didn't know that it was a choice. Now you do. And bottom line is the awareness is designed to give you your power back. If you do not know what the problem is, how can you change it? If you are not aware of what you're really feeling, can you experience it? How can you release it? How can you embrace it? You are human. You have emotions. You cannot control them, deny them, negate them, or resist them because they will come out. They will express themselves. And they can do it positive or negative, easy or hard. But the best way is with conscious awareness, owning them, experiencing them, and allow them to be what they are without the judgment, without the strings of judgment attached to them. Okay, to those who are just joining us, you're listening to Easy Knowing, and I'm Sherry Kennedy. I invite you to participate. Give me a call, 773-897-6227. Share your experience or adventure. Let me know if what we're talking about is resonating with you. Are you having any of these experiences, and does this information assist you in doing it differently? Give me a call, 773-897-6227. And of course, if calling doesn't work for you, I invite you to visit my website, and that's easyknowing.com. And you can listen to the meditation, create your center, review the tools, read the stories that are shared, and you can make a donation. And my book is also available for sale. So check it out. I think you might really like what you find. So right now, give me a call. 773-897-6227 if that's something that you can feel good about doing at this time. Okay, so we have been talking about expectancy versus expectations, which is technically your what versus your how. And one of the things that I want to also make you aware of within this realm is a lot of that is based on external validation. How are you going outside of yourself to get your needs met? What needs are you not acknowledging and allowing that you have? What needs are you putting on the back burner without consciously realizing that you're saying, oh, everybody else is more important than I am, so I have to meet all of their needs and make sure I have all of that done before I can take care of myself. Does any of that sound familiar? It's really important to know what you feel, what you're thinking, what you're saying, and you're believing. I'm using the experience of the holidays as a point of reference to give you an opportunity to connect the dots with how your core beliefs and your basic needs and the core fears are all in all applying right now. You are experiencing everything. Your job is to be aware of what that is. Like I said, awareness is the key. Because once you know what it is, then you can change it. Then you can make a choice that is based on your highest and greatest good than just a knee-jerk reaction to a situation. Just because most of our beliefs are created before we're a year old and pretty well locked in by the time we're 5 doesn't mean that throughout the rest of our lives that we're not creating false beliefs as we go along. That's what lack of awareness does. We find ourselves in situations that are uncomfortable, that we don't feel good in, or we feel threatened in. And based on that experience, we will subconsciously, without awareness, create a belief about that situation or circumstance that we don't even know we've done. So it's really important for you to know what you're feeling, because the belief will always be your rule of action until it is recognized and changed. Negative energy is always created by judging. That's its purpose. Remember, the powers that be feed off of chaos. They feed off of the negative energies of the hate, the anger, the violence, the fear, the resentment, the betrayals, the judgments. And if it can make people feel that more intensely and stronger and deeper, then people are going to be spewing forth that energy in greater volume. Remember, the minute that our survival is threatened, our body automatically releases the energy in the form of adrenaline to give us the ability to act on that threat. And if it's fear and anger, if it's hate and anger, then we're going to fight and look at what's going on. That is being fed in spades. If it's fear and resentment, we're going to run. We're going to back off. But that doesn't mean that the energy that we are expelling is any less. It is just as powerful, just as intense as the energy coming from anger is the energy coming from fear. They are equivalent. It's their action and the manifestation of the behavior that is different. But when they are combined, it is an extremely powerful source. And the powers that be are sucking it up. So stop it. Stop feeding the powers that be. You stop it by becoming aware of the choices that you make. You become aware by looking at what you're doing and why you're doing it. Is it because you really want to do it, or is it because this is what you've always thought you were supposed to do? Or is it because you never even questioned it at all and have just done it because that was the way it was done? This isn't a good or bad or right or wrong. This is just simply an opportunity for you to become aware and make a different choice. You can, or just make a choice. It doesn't even have to be a different choice. You can choose to do the same thing you're doing, But the difference is that you've done it this time with conscious awareness as opposed to it being rote behavior based on that lack of awareness. And as long as you are not aware, you're going to be in judgment. You're going to always go outside of yourself to get your needs met. But I guarantee you, when you meet them for yourself, there is nothing more powerful, more exciting than the feeling that you have from that. That burst of positive, loving energy is way different than that burst of hate and fear, the combination of hate and fear energy. Very, very different. And the other benefit that you get whenever you stop judging is your psychic awareness increases. Because the truth is that psychic awareness is simply information that's received without judging, without making it good or bad or right or wrong, just accepting it for what it is. So take a deep breath now. Count to 10 and make another choice. Remember, nothing is good or bad or right or wrong. It just is. It's our judgment that labels it. And I have to ask you this. How happy are you really when your happiness depends on someone else? You give all your power away to making everything so perfect in the ways that you think somebody else wants it. And you're so filled with joy and you've done such a good job and you're giving yourself all this, and all they have to do is say something negative or be unappreciative. And all of that energy that you were feeling is completely dissipated. It's gone. And in fact, you are just absolutely sucked right to the bottom. I know people have experienced that. That's the way that the game is played. So instead of doing it to make them happy, do it to make you happy. And if they're happy as a result, that's awesome. And if they're not happy as a result, that's awesome too, because you did it for you. You met your own needs. You stayed in your truth. You honored what was right for you. That's how you stay in your power. That's how you become consciously aware. That's how you find that peace, that joy, that light within you that you already know is there. What will people think always stems from our need for acceptance, approval, and taking responsibility for someone else. So be aware of your actions. Do not live another's life. Live your own life and live it your way. Live it in harmony and resonance with those who are in your life with you. But you cannot know what they truly want or need. All you can know is what you think they want or need based on your interpretation of their actions, feelings, and behaviors. And that's based on your perspective. Nobody else has your perspective. So you don't really know what their needs are. So trying to meet something that you are totally unaware of in the first place is just not the smartest thing you can do. But it's brilliant from the perspective of the powers that be, because if they can convince you to do that in struggle, strife, conflict, resistance, and pain, it's going to keep you out of your power. You're going to keep trying and trying and trying to get something from somebody else that you only think is what they need or what they want. They don't even know that you're trying to get this need met, so they're in no way, shape, or form on the same page that you are in meeting your need. So you've just got this great big old mess, tangled mess of energy and emotions. So take a deep breath again and ask yourself, what is my need and am I meeting it for myself? And meeting it for yourself doesn't mean that other people are not necessarily involved. None of us are alone. We are all connected. We are all part of the greater whole. We're pieces of the puzzle. We're that droplet of water that's out in front of the spray on the wave of in the ocean. We're all connected, although at times we seem so very separate. And this is where the faith comes in. It's ironic. Fear kills faith, but faith kills fear. So it still comes down to choice. Which are you going to choose to feed, the faith or the fear? It's totally up to you. What we have to always remember is that we are each perfect in and of ourselves. And we are always perfect for any specific time, place, and or situation. It's not important why something is happening to you. It's only important what you're being taught from it. And I'd like to rephrase that. It's not important why something is happening for you. Only what you're being taught from it. None of us are victims. Nothing is being done to us. We are constantly being given opportunities to shift our crystal, to become aware, to see something from a different perspective, constantly. And it's just up to us to choose to focus, to choose to see what is right there in front of us. And the other thing I want you to remember is that there is a difference between something being to your highest good or having your own way. Wanting to have your own way is always going to come from ego. And if you stop and think a minute, how many times have you thanked God for unanswered prayers? And those unanswered prayers based on something that you thought you wanted, that you just have to have, that you were obsessed about. Okay? So you don't want to ask for what you want, what you think you want. You want to ask for your highest and greatest good to manifest. Okay, we've got a few minutes left. I'm going to put it out there for you to give me a call at 773-897-6227. Please give me a call to share your experiences. I know that you've got some good things going on in your life at this point, and I'd love to see and hear about all that's going on. Okay, again, that's 773-897-6227. Okay, what I want to do, this is a poem that I have shared with you in the past, but I think that this is something that's really important to be revisited in view of the conversation today, and it's about letting go. We have to understand what that really means, because sometimes people think it's just like with forgiveness. You think that if you forgive someone, that negates anything that they ever did, that negates the experience that you had. And it doesn't. The forgiveness is for yourself. The forgiveness is about your energy. Because I guarantee you that person has no clue, and they really could care less anyway. So it's something that letting go is the same way. It's something that is for you. It will always benefit others when we are in our truth. when we walk our talk, when we allow what is to be. So letting go doesn't mean to stop caring. It means I can't do it for someone else. To let go is not to cut myself off. It's the realization that I can't control another. To let go is not to enable, but to allow learning from natural consequences. It's to admit powerlessness, which means that the outcome is not in my hands. To let go is not to try to change or blame another. I can only change myself. Letting go is not to care for, but to care about. It's not to fix, but to be supportive. Letting go is not to judge, but to allow another to be a human being. Letting go is not to be in the middle of arranging outcomes, but to allow others to affect their own outcomes. Go is not to deny, but to accept. To let go is not to nag, scold, or argue, but to search out our own shortcomings and to correct them. To let go is not to adjust everything to my desires, but to take each day as it comes and to cherish each moment. To let go is not to criticize or regulate everyone, but to become what I dream I can be. Letting go is fearing less and loving more. And this is such a powerful message. Letting go is allowing what is to be what is. It's the opposite of judgment. Because through letting go, through releasing our need to control or our belief that our illusion that we think we can control in the first place, well, it's its own reward. Really, really important. You have to be in touch with your own feelings. When you defend, blame, explain, justify, or rationalize your thoughts, feelings, and actions, you're trying to meet your needs outside yourself. Do you realize that there are technically only 7 basic needs? Just as there are only 7 core beliefs, there are only 7 basic needs. Now listen to this. Comfort, pleasure, attention, acceptance, approval, importance, and value. Every need that we have comes from these 7 basic core needs. How hard is it to meet these needs for ourselves? Actually, it's pretty simple once you give yourself permission to do so. You must allow what is to be what is. Release the judgment. Release the expectation. Release the need to manifest the how. Be in expectancy. Create the what. Paint the picture of the what. You know, it's an emotion, it's an energy, it's simple. Take away all of the explaining, the defending, justifying, and rationalizing to your what, and you're left with a one-word or a one-sentence statement. And that statement encompasses everything. That's the same with the expectancy. Know that it's going to happen. Believe with every part of your being that it is going to happen. But let it manifest to the highest good of all. Do not limit your expectancy through the expectations of your ego. Take the blinders of ego off and let the vision manifest through Creator's sight. That's the best of all. Love yourself more than you think is possible so that you can love all of those in your world the way that you really want to, and so that you can receive the love they are abundantly expressing to you. Honor yourself, value yourself. Remember who you are, and give to you all the things that you want other people to give you. Because until you do that, you will never be able to see what everyone is already giving. Everybody else sees our beauty, our light, who we really are. Everybody else can see our struggle and what we're not accepting within ourselves. We see it in other people. But it's some kind of a glitch of the mind where we can see it in others, but we don't even think about that other people can see it in us. Believe me, they can. It's no different than somebody can be very angry and walk into a room and never say a word, but everybody in the room will instantly know they're angry. Or joyful. Or sad. Whatever emotion that we feel, others are aware of it. So we might as well just be honest with it and own it. Allow it to be what it is so that it can clear, so that we can receive the wisdom that it's bringing to us. So fill your world with expectancy, but let the expectations create themselves. Let the universe create how that expectancy manifests. That's the most important part right now. Okay. I hope everybody had a beautiful and wonderful Thanksgiving and that it was filled with grace and ease. And I am sending out prayers that the Christmas holiday season be filled with as much ease and grace, and if not more so, because I trust that you will take each of these, this wisdom, this knowledge, take each of these tools, apply them to your life, and remember that each of us is a beautiful, radiant, rare, and precious cosmic miracle. We are as unique as our fingerprints, and there are no two alike ever. All righty. I see that our time is just about done. So I am going to sign off for today. Thank you so much for listening to the show. Remind you again, go to my website, easyknowing.com. And if you have any questions or comments that you would like to make, there is a section on the website that you can send that in to me. I would love to hear from you, whether it's on air or off. What you have to say is important. So until next week, follow your heart's song and paint the world with the colors of your soul. Bye-bye.
At T-Mobile, we're declaring the end of data limits. Introducing T-Mobile One. One price, all unlimited for everyone. That's right. Get unlimited 4G LTE data on your smartphone on our network that was built to handle it. And get it at a price that won't break the bank. With 4 lines of unlimited LTE data for just $35 a line per month with AutoPay. Switch today.
Top 3% of data users greater than 26 gigabytes per month may see reduced speeds until next bill cycle. Video typically streams at 480p with qualifying credit discount via bill credit plus taxes and fees.
At T-Mobile, we're declaring the end of data limits. Introducing T-Mobile One. One price, all unlimited for everyone. That's right. Get unlimited 4G LTE data on your smartphone on our network that was built to handle it. And get it at a price that won't break the bank. With 4 lines of unlimited LTE data for just $35 a line per month with AutoPay. Switch today.
Top 3% of data users greater than 26 gigabytes per month may see reduced speeds until next bill cycle. Video typically streams at 480p with qualifying credit discount via bill credit plus taxes and fees.